So the first thing that we're going to do is just push this piston in slightly. That'll allow the pads to get past the lip on the disc, and you'll also be able to check the pins on the caliper is working fine then as well, because it should move freely, like so. Once you're happy with that, we're going to remove these 30mm bolts. So just put your socket and ratchet on it or a spanner and gently lift up. You'll probably see there that the 19mm hold'em that on the inside is spinning. We'll crack this top one off and then we'll get a spanner. There's that one there spinning too. We'll put a spanner on these points. It's a 19mm and that stops the inner part spinning. So I'm actually moving the inner part and holding the outer part, but you can do whichever way you want. If you get the rhythm right, you can do both at the same time. I can't get the rhythm right. Now with those bolts out, the caliper should just freely lift off. I'm going to secure it up out the way with the bungee cord, but first I'm going to remove this 10mm bolt here, so I can ability to remove it in the hose without stretching or damaging anything. Now we've got that extra play in the hose, we're going to bungee cord the caliper up out the way. Or you can use whatever you want, a zip tie or goat hanger, I've seen some people use. And just rest it up on top of the shock, so it's not in the way and we don't damage it at all or anything like that. Now it's time to remove this bracket here, and that is held on by the two bolts on the back. You can see the top one there, it's a 21, sorry it's not a 21, 17mm spanner, and that twists off. They're not usually this easy. You do the one at the bottom, then you can just lift this whole carrier bracket out of the way. The pads are still a little bit stuck here, so you're going to have to flick them out. Obviously shows that they weren't moving back and forth like they should be. But now it's time to get this disc off, and it's a little bit seized, and a little bit yucky, so it takes a little bit of whacking to free it off. But it comes off in the end. Yours hopefully won't be this bad. Now it's time to clean up this hub surface. Obviously the more rust you have on here, the more likely it is that it's not going to run straight, it's going to be slightly running out technically. But yeah, so you want to clean this up so it sits flush with the hub. If I would just go over it with a wire brush and a drill and clean as much as I can. If I sped this up, this actually takes a little bit of time, but I sped it up just for the interest of this video. Now it's just basically time to reassemble. So we've got the disc back on, just going to fasten the carrier back down by doing those two bolts back up. Now obviously this piston hasn't gone all the way in, so we're going to check the boot and make sure there's no rust on the inside of the piston and nothing to drag on, no damage there. We're going to clean that up a bit as well, as best as we can. I want to be very gentle not to damage the boot here, so just doing the surface where it touches against the pad. I'm going to try to keep that as flush and true as you can. And then we're going to turn it around and do the other side of the caliper, sorry, where that touches against the pads as well. Just to make sure everything's as clean as it can be. I'm going to spray any debris, leftover oil or grease that might be on there, ready to reinstall. This piston needs to go back a little bit more to make room for the new pads, so I'm using a brake wind back tool. You can use a big set of water pump pliers or a brake spreader or whatever you've got. This is what I've chose to use. Basically just by winding it, it pushes the piston in. You can tell when it's done because usually it won't go in any further, and it's flush with the back, with the rubbers and everything is sat flush. So don't try to overdo it because you could damage something. Now we're going to use, this is an APEC brake grease to lubricate only the contacting points where the pad sits on the carrier. Nowhere else, it doesn't need to go on the back or anything like that. And then we're going to fit these, and we're going to pay attention to where the mechanical wear indicator goes. So you want it so when the disc runs, it pushes it into the pad rather than snapping it off. Because if it snaps off, it's not going to do its job. See the tab there? That's a little wear indicator there. So we're going to make sure that sits on the top, on the front wheel, so it runs into the pad rather than away from it. Stops it from snapping off. With that done, all that's left to do now is secure the caliper back onto the vehicle. Making sure there's not a fight to get it on, because if it is, those pads might not be positioned right. Just make sure that sits on nice and freely. And then secure it back in with the 13mm bolts. Then we're going to secure this hose back in with that 10mm bolt. torque the wheels back up, pump the pedal, and job's a good one. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, and more content will be coming soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you, bye.